All right. Well, I'm ready to go if you are. We've got 29 in the audience. We have everything recording. And we have a
Very nice.
question already related to the project.
All right, let me read it real quick. To test the optimal locations between multiple options. Hmm. That's I'd say if Mike, feel free to pitch in, obviously, because you probably know this a lot more than I do. But if you know you have, let's say, 5 locations, one would be looking at the map and seeing, in what locations are there least other antennas. But then also balance that with which location can you get the best placement of the station. So if you have one location that's amazing placement up on a roof, clear line of sight, with a few antennas around, versus a location where it's completely empty, but your options may be very limited, then I'd say, depending on how limited, but I would have, if you want to send us a DM with the different locations, we can absolutely help you figure it out. I think that would be the best start, honestly. Just message us, let's discuss the locations, and then we can probably make a decision. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yeah. So that's a good perspective of trying to optimize maybe your rewards by evaluating locations on that. If you also want to just evaluate locations based on air traffic and whether the antenna is going to be in a good position or not, and you should maybe raise it, or if it's just not going to work out, you can simply just put stations into whatever location you want, run the install. My suggestion is to put something like test dash test dash test as the station. And then we can also either tell you how to turn off vector if you don't want to send the data to Wingbits. But it will allow you to see your TAR 1090, see your graphs, and see, okay, if I optimize this the best I can for incoming flights, for flight positions per second, I've toyed with my gain, you can still use it as a comparison without actually affecting your account. They're just basically local versions. So there's two ways to look at it, from a rewards perspective, but also just from an antenna install station setup. And obviously
Yeah.
not every install is going to work. I know there's one location I'd love to put one, where we may eventually move one day in that area. But the one person I can host it with has a ridiculous amount of large trees surrounding the house itself and no other area to put an antenna. Plus, they have a metal roof, so it definitely has to go outside. It's just a very problematic location. But I have thought at times it'd be interesting to send a unit down there, or when I go down there next, and set it up and just see locally what do I get on TAR 1090, what do the graphs look like over a little bit of time, and just see if it's even a realistic location, ignoring your rewards at this moment.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good input, Mike. Thank you so much for bringing the intelligence to the conversation as well.
Mm.
Now, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because when we look at different antennas, we have different participants reaching out. I mean, it's because we have a test antenna just at the office, a really bad location, just essentially. Alex taped it on the wall outside. There's buildings all around. I mean, we're getting 6 hexes on that antenna, and then you put it up, you just take it up on a roof, clear line of sight, and you get 40. So I mean, it's such a big difference just getting low placement of the antenna. It's just massive.
Yeah, definitely. As Grumpy will say, as I will say, as pretty much everybody will say, it's been in this for a while, get it above everything. That is your first and biggest priority. Make sure it's outdoors if you can get it outdoors. But if not, everything is all about height and line of sight and what's going to block it. Whether that's going to be a roof, which some roofs are okay, metal roofs, 100% not okay. Whether there's buildings around you, that is the goal, is to get it up there. And we had one individual who you guys could probably see in one of the channels, I think, set up discussion, who was running an indoor antenna and having 1 hex. And while that's interesting, once the antenna was moved outdoors and up above, it was getting a whole bunch of hexes. So that's your first priority. Get it out, get it up.
Yeah. Yeah, we are recording this. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, Grumpy, feel free to use that soundbite in all your videos. Let's see. And Wild has a question.
Yes, we still want that. And Alex is actually in here. I don't know if he's listening, but yes, that is something we'd like to bring back. The previous data point chart is super handy, so that you can kind of see what's going on with your antenna. For example, one of the stations I saw, earnings dropped, the rewards dropped on a certain day. The antenna itself had no changes. There was no gain changes. It was simply someone else coming into the area, setting up and having decent coverage. And obviously you're sharing the rewards, so that'll happen. But if you have the data chart, you'd be able to say, oh, I'm still doing the same thing I was before. Someone else must have jumped in.
Yeah, exactly.
And rankings, yes, it would be nice to have some kind of rankings. Still working through that, obviously. There's all kinds of choices on how you do rankings, especially when we're in a hex-based system and people are in different countries as well. Well, what's the most ideal and engaging ranks so that people can have their claim to fame? I don't know yet, but we will get through that.
Yeah, and then me and Alex, we had a long planning session today, and we've expanded the team. So there's some more people that have joined the team, and it's actually one of our team members from across the world came to visit today. So super exciting. But we are expanding the team to be able to deliver on all these great suggestions that are coming in from you guys. So before too long, we'll be able to deliver a lot of cool stuff. So we are really, like today, we actually spent 3 hours going through the suggestion channel and looking at everything, and whatever you guys really want and what's being upvoted, we put that into our backlog. Let's see. Good suggestions, and Wild. If you guys, obviously it's been a couple of weeks since last stage, and we did, the wallet edition. And also, when we release anything, if you feel like something is missing in the release or something could be improved, like please let us know. Because obviously there's no better feedback than you guys, because we're really building this for you. So anything that's on your mind that you feel like can be improved, like please let us know. But I have to say, Mike, so far a pretty fair amount of people have added wallets, so that's pretty cool. I think a fair amount have updated the device. I don't know exactly the percentage, but quite a large portion. So that's awesome. And I saw you posted something about just now, Mike.
I removed it. I was going to address that during this stage. So I jumped the gun a little bit. Alex reined me back in. So there is a new version of the Wingbits script. That doesn't mean run out and try to update right now. I'm just letting you know. I mentioned it because you may notice that some people say, hey, I'm running version 0.0.5 and I'm having this issue. And you may think, oh, I'm only running 4. So there was a new version pushed. There are changes in there to help people on board easier, do checks a little bit better, make sure that we're collecting information So you don't have to in the background run like set location. It'll set up the dark mode on stuff for you, set a game. So we've done a few optimizations, but if you're already running, it doesn't matter. There's nothing in there that is configuration based that changes how you're submitting data to Wingbits. So you don't have to worry about it. But we want to get that out there for new users that are just onboarding. Plus, we have a future change that will involve the command you run and the interface there. So we're just trying to keep things moving forward. So again, don't anybody freak out if you think you're behind on version. I removed the announcement for now. I'll make a better announcement after the stage. I realized making an announcement right before the stage that could be, wrong would be pretty bad because a whole bunch of people would be asking questions and we're stuck here in the stage. But
yeah. I'm on Grumpy's question now, Mike. Yeah, with the rankings, we're still thinking about how to make it, good. And maybe we have different rankings. We don't know yet, because if it's purely based on amount of lanes tracked, it kind of defeats it completely for the people in a more remote area. But for the project itself, they're equally important. So we're still, thinking about some things here. But again, if you have great suggestions about what type of rankings would be fun to see, maybe there's multiple, like let us know, because we're still toying around with the various ideas. And then Grumpy on the alias, I know we have it in our backlog. Sorry. Or yeah, Alex just mentioned Grumpy that you means rank in hex and not leaderboard. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. But regarding your alias question, I know we have it on our backlog. It is coming. We have so much to do, and we just expanded the team within the last week and a half. So obviously the new devs are getting up to speed. So it will come.
Cello, as someone who's been interacting with you, I will try to quickly answer this. So there's a couple components at play. Cello is basically asking, he's commenting that right now there's an online status on your antennas page. That indicates, from a Wingbits perspective, that indicates that you are sending us data. You are sending messages that you have received from Craft. You're passing them through. We're receiving them. There is a disconnect in that you can have your local station seeming to work by the fact that you can go to TAR 1090 and see planes flying around. You can go to your graphs and see that there's recent graph data, but yet somehow your antenna is showing offline on the Wingbits dashboard. And I hope I say this in a way everybody can follow, but there's a couple components or a few components on your station. Some of them involve showing you that local information like TAR 1090 and graphs 1090. There's also another component, which obviously some people have mentioned before. It's called Vector. It's the thing transferring data, sending it over to Wingbits. If that is not functioning, then your station is perceived as offline because we're not getting any data. Obviously, if you're in a super, super low air traffic location, it may show offline from time to time as well if you're only capturing like one plane every few hours or whatever. But for the majority of people that are going to at least have like one plane on their radar, so to speak, at any given moment, you should remain online. If you are showing offline, but you can see stuff on your local TAR 1090, then that is probably an issue related to configuration with Vector or some kind of other internet connection issue, which does happen. Like I can see my local I can see my local TAR 1090 when my internet is down on my local network. But that also means I am not transmitting it anywhere because I don't have an internet connection at that moment. So there's a couple different variations of why that may happen. Reach out with a ticket. We'll work with you. We'll make it happen. As far as us showing whether other components are online, but you're just not seeing planes, we've talked about it. We're working on stuff. I'm not sure the best answer for that. Alex may be the one to answer that, but we are working on it. I actually pondered earlier, and I don't know if this is going to make any sense on this stage, but I pondered earlier, what if it didn't say online, but it said sending or receiving or something like that, which would more indicate that we are receiving the data or you are sending the data as opposed to the unit being online. I guess it's semantics, but anyway, that's that. I hope that answered any of the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, for now, I mean, we're continuing to improve all parts of the projects. I mean, until recently, it's been a super small team, and Alex has been building 99% of everything. So now, it's gonna get better and better and better. Right now, we're in the stage of going from proof of concept and MVP to an actual product, and starting to try to sell the data to multiple customers, and also improving the platform for all you guys. So really appreciate everyone being patient with us and believing in the project. But rest assured, moving forward, it will speed up and it will be pretty cool. Let's see here. D Hubbard actually asked a question about monetization. So the strategy really to monetize is to sell the data through an API in various formats based on customer requirements. Right now, we're not planning to build any specific custom solutions for the customers. It's just different types of data streams, if that makes sense. Mike, do you want to answer Christian? I think this has been brought up a little bit. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have it on the radar on how would we do that and implement it. Would it be something like you go to the map and you can click on a resolution 6 hex, a location hex, and see basically their coverage? Would it look identical to if you go to the dashboard and look at your own coverage? Would it be something different? It would be very helpful, I think, for you to be able to go onto a map, not saying which map right now, but to a map and look at the location installs everywhere, where all the stations are around you, and start clicking on them and see, okay, what kind of coverage are they getting? Is there a gap somewhere that I can fill with a new station if I can put one somewhere? Super helpful. 100% agree. It's literally in the top 5 of my wish list to have done is to have some way to evaluate areas based on looking at other participants and what they're doing. Obviously, you won't know where the participant is in that location hex. There's some anonymous nature to that. And you probably won't find out their name or the station name or any of that stuff, but just to know that there's a station there and it's providing X coverage, super helpful, in my opinion.
I mean, it would be. Yeah, because it also you can kind of, in what direction, if you have a directional antenna, for example, in certain areas, I mean, if it makes more sense just cover a certain direction if it's completely open. But in Grumpy's case, I know you have quite a few antennas. So I assume you don't want to compete with your own antenna, so it makes sense to spread them out in as efficient way as possible.
Grumpy. So that is one of the things that we were talking about when I mentioned Vector potentially having an issue. I'm not 100%. Oh, gosh. Words are hard today. I am not 100% sure that it is a Vector issue, because when I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like Vector itself has a momentary glitch, possibly due to a Wi-Fi connection issue or just an internet connection issue in general that is momentary. And I've seen this across multiple stations now. It seems to be like a momentary glitch. What happens is, I think read SB, which is the thing that gets configured behind the scenes that decodes all the information from basically your receiver. It tries to send something to Vector and then says, Vector's not responding. And then it tries to create a new connection. I'm wondering actually if read SB is the culprit of all this. And for anybody that doesn't understand what I'm saying, I apologize, but it might be too technical. But there may be more than just one thing at play here. Something else may be misbehaving. So we're investigating that. If that is the case, obviously that involves the author or the maintainer of that tool.
No, yeah, because me and Alex chatted about it earlier, and he kind of mentioned a similar thing. So we're gonna look deeper into it, and but it's quite complex to figure out exactly.
I can tell you one way that seems to, I know not everybody's going to like this answer. One way that seems to minimize those issues is a very good connection. And sometimes that means not using Wi Fi, it means using Ethernet. So, if possible, if you have an option, use Ethernet instead of Wi Fi in your local network. That's one less thing to have any kind of connection issues. Obviously, you can't control your internet provider and what happens on that side, but you can control what happens on your local network. Sometimes it's not available though. Sometimes you just have to use Wi-Fi. I get it. I use Wi-Fi.
Uh, yeah, me too. I mean, but Ethernet is, I mean, obviously 100 times, 100% of the times better than Wi-Fi, but it's not always possible. D. Hubbard, contemplating different use case of the data, similar to how GPT allows users to build on the platform. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of toyed that around, but we haven't gotten that far yet. But there's a million different use cases for the data. Especially now, we've seen that you can build a lot more advanced models and solutions with the data. We have better compute power. There's more demand for the data now and stuff like that. So we're putting together a kind of like a customer list, and it's just of potential customers that buying this data is just never ending. So I think what we need to focus on is mainly getting the best possible quality on the data we can in the network, getting the spread of the antennas really good, getting the latency really low. So like the better we can make the network, that's more important right now than trying to build different products on the data, because I really think we're in a position here to build something really, really cool based on making the network so much better.
Yeah, I agree. You got to have your focuses in a business. If you start spreading out in too many different directions, you're never the king of all of them.
It's tricky sometimes because the data can be used for all kinds of cool stuff, and delays and gate optimization, and it can be used for all kinds of cool stuff. And sometimes it's fun to toy around with the thought of, oh, we can build this, we can build that. But at the end of the day, the data is kind of the base of everything. The community is the base of what we're doing. So getting that as good as possible is definitely the most important, and then everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, well said. Hey man, you want to know, is a Pi 3 good enough? Or should you go with a Pi 4 or 5? Grumpy was right. So a Pi 3, I think B, is what you can obtain pretty reasonably now. I noticed the inventory on them, or trying to find them, is kind of difficult. Even a Pi 4, like a 1 gig, is sufficient. I would not personally buy a Pi 5 just for this project. It's an overkill. If you plan on doing other stuff with it, like running Pi-hole or other stuff that you find interesting on a Pi, and you want to have it like a multi-use device, then maybe a 5 would be great. I have a tendency, and I've said this before in chat, I have a tendency to buy the same model. So that way, if I have one go down, I can grab one from something else that's less important and swap it in. So I tend to go with the same exact model in all my stuff. And it's always a Pi 4, because the Pi 3 versus Pi 4 price difference is negligible. It's just a few dollars. 5 can be a little more pricey, especially as you go up in gigabytes. But again, it's overkill. So, if you just want to spend money, Pi 5 is great. It's definitely way faster than a 4 now. Love it. Hope to have one in the next couple weeks.
That's good. And Wild, kind of a big question. How do you see this product being competitive versus different products like FlightAware or Flight Radar 24? So, at the base of it, I think just it's a very different model in terms of, we want to share with the community. So that's why a big portion of the revenue that we will make from the customers will flow back into the community. I think just that will create it's more incentive for you to like, hey, I want to try to make my antenna better. I want to set up more stations because it's beneficial. At a different model, there's really no incentive to have more than one station. because you can't get any more than access to the platform. I think we have a better model for it's more aligned with the community, which means like long term. As long as we prove to all you guys that hey, we can actually deliver value, it's just a more fair, sustainable model, and we're gonna have better uptime because people, if you can get something from participating, you're probably gonna be online for a bit longer. So on the model side, I think it's a way better model and it makes more sense. You have these companies making hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, and the people providing the data earn nothing. I think that's unfair. And then we're pretty early. I mean, we're small, we are flexible, and what we're doing now is looking at other networks and say, hey, like what can be improved? If you're really big, it's kind of hard to change. I think there's a lot of areas over time where we have a good chance of increasing security of the network, having better latency on the network, innovating on the hardware side long term. So I think there will be multiple ways where we can actually be better in many aspects. But again, it all comes back to, hey, if we can create a model that really rewards the community in a fair way, I think that's the main benefit of what we're doing, because I think people are going to migrate to what's best for them and what's most fair and what's most reasonable. And I think that's what we're wanting to build. So, I mean, it's a kind of there's multiple facets to it. Obviously, we're early. So right now, the model is the clear main difference. And I think that brings a lot of commercial benefits in terms of what we can create in terms of a network and stability and latency and spread and growth. And for example, I mean, if we want to grow in specific areas, just using blockchain or Web3, like for example, offering like you can host devices in different countries and you can share the rewards. That's a pretty big difference compared to what they can do now. So I think there's multiple ways we can be better.
And sometimes it's different. It doesn't always have to be better, but definitely different. I think you called out the point of uptime and the fact that on some of those services you get a VIP or advanced access to stuff if you submit data. But as you mentioned with uptime, you don't have to do it for long. Like you could just literally pop it up for a bit of time for a day, and you will end up getting that VIP or advanced access. There's no incentive for you to keep it up 24/7. So that's a different way of tackling keeping the network robust. Is they say, okay, we'll just give you some access and that's a good reason for you to get it online and running, but it doesn't kind of make you run it for a very long period of time.
Yeah, no, man, I think it's I think it's a very different model. I mean,
Yeah.
it has a different incentive. It makes people want to do different things. So I think it's the community side, treating the community right and sharing in the success is a massive difference.
Simeon, I just wanted to comment on that because I didn't think about it earlier when I was answering the Pi questions. There is a reason to have a higher Pi, like certain SDR dongles, certain devices that you connect require more CPU as well. Like the green AirNav or the other ones in that same vein that you pick up for $30, $40. Those typically, even in heavier flight areas, kind of limit themselves. You end up with a CPU usage of, let's say, 20% at most on a Pi 4. But if you're running some of the other, I guess, more advanced, you could say, SDRs, they can easily take one core away immediately. Like an AirSpy will cap a Pi 4 at 100 and some odd percent unless you start tweaking it. And admittedly, that's 100% of one core out of 4 on a Pi. But if you're running a lower Pi, it may have dual core. So you have less processor available. So I guess I should have said that the answer that I gave was for the standard ADSB dongles that we all tend to buy, but there are other ones that definitely peg your CPU higher. They need more resources. So for those, you might want to make sure you get a decent 4 Pi 4.
Perfect, Mike. D. Hubbard, another question. Tokens run out after 40 years on the distribution schedule. What happens at the end to keep the network up? What's the incentive to mine at that point? Well, so I think it's kind of two things, and this ties into Grumpy's questions further down about the buying mechanism. So we have two things. One, there will be some areas, some hexagons that cannot be claimed because they're in an area where they can't be reached. So part of those tokens will go back into extending the runway if needed, or the distribution time. But then also, we on the buying mechanism that Grumpy is asking about, part of the revenue goes back to, adding liquidity, parts goes back to buying and burn, and we can also buy back to extend the distribution period if needed. So those two things. So just by the, reusing tokens that can't be claimed, we can extend it by quite a long time. But I would also have to argue that, in 40 years, when Wingbits is still going, probably a pretty good business, making substantial revenue. There's nothing that prohibits us from starting to distribute, for example, stable tokens to continue, incentivize mining or stable coins. So I hope that kind of answered your question, D. Hubbard.
Or ice cream bars. Maybe we can pay in ice cream bars. I like those.
Maybe if you mine or send enough data, you get a free plane ticket. Who knows?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Where am I?
Just a quick note, though. This is a public service announcement. All those ice cream bars you buy in the store, read closely. It may say frozen dairy dessert or frozen. What does it say? Oh, now I forgot.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
There's a when you go buy ice cream bars, like the inexpensive ones at a grocery store, and they're just like the quick ones, they're coated or with a chocolate or something like that. It's not actually ice cream.
Yeah.
If you read
that's such an American thing. It's like milk content 0% or something in ice cream. It's like made of plastic.
Yeah. So fair warning out there, people. Sometimes you're being duped. It's not ice cream.
That's funny. I'm actually next time when I go back to the US, I'm gonna read on the ice cream bar. Will there be a mobile Wingbits option? Divya Selena, are you saying like tracking planes from like a phone or like an app where you can do things within the project? Just to clarify, because tracking planes with a phone moving around mobily right now does not appear to be a good option, because it's very important for like a data buyer. If you have coverage in a specific area, they're counting on that coverage existing into the future. So a coverage that's moving around for that purpose is not optimal. It may be cool for the project, like just to see on a map, but it's not good for the business case, or not really a lot of value. Let's see what's next question. Yeah, 100% agree and wild with your statement there. Hey, Grumpy, I mean, I know you asked a question. Was that a good enough answer, or do you want me to expand on it? Because, I mean, on the buying pressure from selling data, the more revenue that comes in, obviously, the more we put into buying back tokens. So, yeah, so increased revenue would also, of course, mean like buying back more tokens. Jacked and shredded. Love the project. Oh, very cool. I don't know. I think maybe there's a few pilots in our project. I think it's so cool when pilots come in. I think that's just amazing. On the daily reward, I really don't know. It's so dependent on, in terms of amount of tokens. depends on how good your setup is. If you're in an area where there's no one else or multiple other people, it's really difficult, honestly, to say. When we have a little more analysis, maybe a leaderboard or something, we may be able to say, hey, this is kind of like an average. But I'm sorry, I don't really. It's impossible to answer that question now. But if you want us to look at your antenna performance specifically, feel free to kind of reach out, and we can look into seeing if there's something you can do to improve, if any.
I think NWild brings up a good point. I've seen it. While there are ADSB enthusiasts that tend to focus on optimizing everything and play with all kinds of different antennas, build their own, they change locations to see what's going on, different cables. That's not the norm. I mean, some of the aggregators out there have 30,000 people feeding it. You think all 30,000 people are optimizing the best they can? No, they're the average person, based on participation I've seen in other venues, in other socials. I think the average participant is just hooking something up. They make it work and they're like, hey, that's cool. And then they get access to a site, or they do, I guess, local viewings on their TAR 1090. Wingbits 100% makes people focus on optimizing because they're trying to expand their coverage. They're trying to get more rewards. So it is kind of interesting how that twist on the implementation of ADSB aggregation through our project has encouraged people to look into it more. And 100%, no matter what coming out of this project, there will be people who will probably be ADSB enthusiasts long in the future just because of this project. They'll be interested in always having some kind of station set up so they can see, even if they're not part of the project. We hope you're still always part of the project, but eventually it is a situation where it might be a new hobby for a lot of people. And I think that's really cool that, I guess, Wingbits has introduced that to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it is something, if you've never tracked planes before, like with my background, it's not in aviation, but like just seeing like, hey, I am tracking these planes. It's like, I don't know, it's just super exciting to see, like, oh, you look at TAR 1090, and you're like, oh, track these planes, and you can see what plane it is and where they go. I mean, it's so much fun. I really like it.
Real quick, I won't make this story time, but when I was on my recent trip and we were having dinner at a friend's house, a gentleman was invited over, and he was running for sheriff of the local county, and we were having a discussion, and we were talking about Wingbits and kind of explained the project. And when he showed up, he came in halfway into the conversation. He was like, he heard the stuff about tracking planes. He's like, yeah, I run these apps on my phone so I can see the flights. And I asked him, do you know how they get that data? And he had no idea that it was a volunteer network, that all these people were contributing this stuff. They weren't being reimbursed. They weren't getting rewarded other than some premium access, but he had no idea. I think nobody really knows. They have an app, it has planes, but that's all the technology we care about. It's kind of like my I was going to say my wife. I shouldn't say that. My wife, who drives the car and just turns the key and doesn't care how everything works. I said it.
Yeah. Do you want to, does your wife watch this, Mike? Maybe you need to cut that out.
Yeah, it might be edited out, people.
You're like, don't watch these, stages. They're terrible. Don't watch them. You wouldn't like it anyway.
No, she knows she doesn't care about cars or anything.
Yeah. All right, let's see, where are we here? We ended up in Wild. Jacked and shredded. Because literally, I mean, because we've gotten the financial reports from some of these companies, and the owners, they make hundreds of millions, and the owners just take out 80% for themselves as a dividend each year. And I'm like, look, like, you mean, why are you not reinvesting in the community? I just don't get it. So that's, we really want to try to do that in the best way possible. If everyone shares, everyone has an incentive to make it grow. Like, everyone's going to win. I'm scrolling past a few here. Grumpy with the pineapple pizza. I mean, we can probably make that happen. Some coupons. Trika Games, all-time earnings and dashboard. We are working on that. We know that's super important, super high on our to-do list. It will come. We know we need to do that.
Where are you on the thing?
I am on. So Grumpy said free coupon for pineapple pizza.
Ah, okay, I'm there.
And then Trika Games said add all-time earnings and dashboard. We know that so many people have asked for this and upvoted, so we are doing that. So now we it was about wing ice cream, Wingbits ice cream bars, 100% vanilla, real vanilla, no fake ingredients. Yeah, and while the lemonade was 0% juice, like I used to, like when I first moved to the US, like in 2006, I used to buy Sunny D all the time, and it's like it's not orange juice, it's like orange drink with D vitamin, like 0% orange in there.
Orange flavoring, orange coloring.
Yeah, it's weird that you can actually call it's I don't think it's called orange juice. It's just like it makes it look like it is orange juice. It's kind of tricky.
You just say orange drink. That covers everything. It's a drink and it's orange. What's your problem? Yeah.
Yeah, like grape drink or
Grape drink.
green drink for apple juice. I don't know. Lord Voldemort swap function tokens for tickets business lounge. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a bit far out, but we have been kind of toying with the idea. It's like, oh, it'd be so cool if you could, use Wings tokens. We actually don't know if we're gonna call it Wings tokens. We're still looking at that. We got some good feedback, but for this call, we call it Wings tokens. If you can swap those for like an actual, buy an airline ticket. But, that's in dreamland, pretty far out, but not a bad idea. D. Hubbard, when was the first station asserted? This was actually before I came on. So Mike and Alex is obviously in here, the OGs of the project. When was that? May last year?
Yeah. But keep in mind, I mean, I know Robin will probably say something, but keep in mind that when it opened, it was basically Alex, and it was a proof of concept thing, just seeing how stuff might work together. And it was open to a very small group of people. So while it was May of last year, really we didn't open to everybody until November. So
yeah, because I mean, so there's some new people in here. So me and Alex, we met in a startup accelerator here in Stockholm, and Alex had obviously started Wingbits and had the idea, and I just felt like it was such a cool idea, and so we teamed up in September, and I think, and Alex, you can type in the chat, but I think there was like 30 people maybe in the locked alpha that were sending data, and then on November 2nd last year we actually opened up the beta and open up for everybody. So that was the official start. We incorporated the company at that time as well, and got our first little round of funding that allowed us to kind of pursuing it. So really but Alex had an idea last year, and then Mike was involved from the very beginning. Let's see, I lost my spot. Di Vasilino, thank you. I don't know which question, but I'm glad I answered it. Or Mike, one of us. Okay, Grumpy. I mean, if you have more deeper questions, obviously, feel free to ping me, and we can deep dive if you want. So Cello says, when are you going to test the wallet feature? We're actually testing it right now internally. So it's very close. So we're testing now, and I don't know if we have a specific date for testnet, but we need to make sure that enough people have added their wallets and updated the device. So that's mainly what's holding us back. So we're trying to give people a few more days to update devices, add wallets, and then so it's not too far off.
Yeah, and remember that things can be tested in the background without you even seeing or knowing. Just because it isn't hidden in your wallet doesn't mean that there aren't things running against testnet to try to evaluate token sends or whatnot. Because you don't want to say, oh, all right, we're starting it today, and then have a few things, not go the way you planned, and have everybody freak out. The additional thing is
Yeah.
there can be other stuff being worked on while we're waiting for people to do wallets. You may start perhaps a new feature or implement a new part of testnet stuff that you want to complete before you release it. I'm not going to give anything away.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just saying things can happen.
yeah, but it's very close. We're just waiting. A few more people need to update, so we have kind of ready. But it's very very close. D Hubbard, how are you determining launch price of the token? Market cap, but not sure how initial token prices is determined. So, normally how you determine it depends on your case. But if you have a company that's raising money at a certain valuation, usually that's kind of determines the token price. But so we don't know exactly yet how we're going to determine ours. But normally they just determine it based on the valuation of your company in a funding round.
D Hubbard firing the important questions. Man, we should have had you moderating. Okay. I used to understand higher DBI antenna and the way it broadcasts versus lower DBI for tracking planes. Is there a reason to have a higher DBI? No. And yes. Did that answer your question? No.
Well,
So
that's the worst answer, Mike.
uh, so yes, it matters. Just like there is still a beam width. There still is the ideal energy area, but you'll find that again, it's not an off-on switch. Plus, somebody will point out that there's other lobes in the way that an antenna receives stuff. So yes, a high DBI antenna tends to narrow the focus like you're shining a flashlight into the distance, whereas a lower DBI antenna is more like a lantern, a handheld lantern that illuminates the area around you but doesn't reach as far. You'll find that even going up to 8 dBi, realistically, it still works reasonably well with plane tracking. It also depends on the specifications of the antenna. If they provide that, if you don't see specs for your antenna and it's not one of the commonly used ones that everybody else is using, you might want to hazard away from it. If you do have a spec sheet and you relatively trust that vendor or manufacturer, then great. You can look up the stats. We still advise to use somewhere around a 5.5 or 6 dBi. Those are the standard. They kind of mix range and the beam width angle, which means being able to reach stuff above you. I use 6 dBi. I have planes fly almost directly over me, basically 0.2 nautical miles away from me at like 30,000 plus feet. And I have no problem tracking them. So just because the antenna pictures you see show like a 6% has like this 45-degree angle shining out from it, and you think, oh, I'm going to miss every plane that's above me because of the way that beam forms. No, you'll still get stuff above you. But I would not go too much higher than 6 unless you have a specific reason. We can talk about that outside of a stage. That may have been a lot of nonsense for people. You can cut all that out of the video.
I'm trying to figure out where I was because I was looking for a cool antenna picture for whoever it was that had this crazy Christian. Yeah, he's got a space antenna, I guess, 440 nautical miles.
Huh? Is that over water, Christian?
It's through mountains.
Okay. Superman seeing through the wall.
Like an MRI / antenna, just scanning everything. Let's see. I don't know where to pick back up.
I'm reading down. Yeah. So I think the next one would be Green Llama asking about Tang, which is a fake drink as well. Yes. Do you have Tang in, I mean, you were in the US, but did you have Tang in Sweden?
I have never seen Tang here.
Really? It kind of died out in the US anyway, but yeah, it's a flavored drink. Um,
Yeah, but at every grocery store here, they have an American section, but there's never anything that I used to buy. There's all these really weird brands. I'm like, this is just like some made up stuff.
you
The
know,
only thing that has like Jiffy peanut butter. That's it.
it's Jif. It's not Jiffy.
Jif. Sorry, I already forgot.
It's Skippy. Although people say Jiffy
Jif.
because they
Oh,
mix them. That's one of those
oh yeah,
things
maybe that. Yeah.
like where you remember a character from your childhood that had like glasses, but it turns out they never had glasses. I don't remember what the term for that was, but everybody calls it Jiffy, but it's actually Jif, and the other one's Skippy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Heyman's asking if I have more than station, can I see their? Oh, if you have more than one station, can you see the coverage separately? Not as is right now, Heyman.
Yeah. Orange drink. Favorite. Yeah. And Wild loves the orange drink. Let's see where we are next. Thanks, Grumpy. I actually don't know who came up with the host wallet. Alex or Mike, I think, or both. I don't know, but it's definitely it's gonna be a needed thing down the road. So appreciate that you enjoy it.
Alex said 40. I'm guessing that was in response to how many people were actually active in the alpha.
Ah, okay. Did Alex? That was like 20 minutes
Well,
late.
no, I'm just scrolling down.
40. Okay. Where are we now? How many stations? Just a little bit over 1,300. Somewhere in there. We haven't looked in the last few days, but I think every day is about five to 10 new ones pop up. I mean, it goes up and down per day, but just over 1,300, I think it is.
And real quick comment, Grumpy, about what Robin just responded to. Alex and I were in a project that technically had a host and owner split sharing option, but they didn't make it public. Like they only did it with certain people, like B2B people who are, I mean, it's basically like you, Grumpy, somebody who has a lot of stations or a lot of devices, and they would allow those people to do it, but through an odd mechanism of using a spreadsheet and submitting it to the project. But obviously, yes, it is much cooler to be able to go yourself and do that. I'm surprised it's not done a lot more in projects. Trendsetters, Wingbits. That's who we are.
Exactly. Well, okay, where are we now? So Christian had this custom made. Well, Christian, if whoever your contact is making these cool antennas want to work a little bit extra on his spare time, let us know.
Lord Voldemort commenting on using metric as the standard here. I know. If I could figure out the math, I would.
Like with my wife, every time I'm like, she's like, "Oh, how far away is it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's 10 kilometers." She's like, "How many miles?" I'm like, "Oh, like 6." And she's like, "Oh," like it's just now it's been how many years here? 3.5, and she still doesn't. Yeah, so different, I guess.
Yeah, whenever I'm in Discord responding to people, I have a hard time like reconciling. Should I post in miles? Should I post in kilometers? You'll notice some of my comments I put both just to try to clarify.
But
it's tough.
But in her defense, my Google Maps still have miles, and when I play golf, I still use yards. So,
I mean, yards are basically meters, right?
So it's like 0.9, but like yards when you play golf is really good because before you had like the cool lasers that gets the distance, like the whatever measuring devices, had to like step it off. So you had to do like count with your steps, and a step is actually more accurate to a yard than a meter.
Oh.
So when I went to college and I played golf, it was yards, and then I was like, this makes sense. So I just stuck with it. Where are we
Trying to
now?
catch up.
Oh, by the way, probably need to leave in about 8 to 10 minutes. Just a heads up. Forgot about the time.
Okay. D. Hubbard, thank you. That is it. Mandela effect. It's where we remember things.
I have no idea where you are now, Mike. Oh, there. Okay, cool.
Right under your not yet. But yeah, Mandela effect is the term for remembering things incorrectly, but it's a common thing that a lot of people misremember.
Ah, very nice. Yeah, Christian, if you can take a picture of a cool antenna, send a DM. I'm super curious to see what it looks like.
And Ancillary is commenting Nelson Mandela. We're having jokes within our. So all right. So there's 7 minutes left. Robin, favorite music style. I know you listen to everything, blah blah blah. Everybody does, but I phrased this whole thing initially: rock, pop, or R&B. So we've got to at least answer the question, or alternative from that country, whatever. If you had to pick one song to keep on your playlist, all other songs in the world will be destroyed afterwards. Like, what type of song is it? First, that's horrible because I would go nuts listening to the same song for the.
One song. I really like "The Pot" by Tool. I really like it.
So what would you classify that as? Rock, metal? I don't even know.
I don't know what it is. I think it's like a mixture between rock and like psychedelic music. I don't know, but I really like it. Alex likes ABBA. Whenever he needs to code faster, he listens to Dancing Queen. Really loud.
What was that from Gravity Falls? The kid, the Bears. It was something Bears, and they did the ABBA spoof, the parody. I don't remember. Someone else has to have watched that. I can't be the only one out of the 30 people or so. Anyway, Gravity Falls.
What song would you pick? What song would you pick, Mike? One song for the rest of your life.
Probably It's the End of the World as We Know It, because that's what it would feel like listening to the same song for the rest of my life. But no, I mean, I would, since I can control, it's not playing 24/7 in my head. Oh my gosh, that would be torture. I don't know, probably something from Disturbed.
Yeah, Disturbed is really good.
I would have to choose something from Disturbed because I need that energy in to be able to turn it on. It's the only song I can hear forever. I need to be able to like
Indestructible.
Oh, or maybe Beyonce. No, I think I'll stick with Disturbed. I was just
the ring on it. Everything you own in the box to your left.
Catchy song. I will not. George Michael, very good choice. He who cannot be named. That was I don't know about Wham. I don't know. But
why doesn't everyone in the chat post their favorite song of all times?
There you go.
I want to see. Maybe I can find some new songs for my Spotify playlist. Christian, yes, please send a spec sheet. That would be amazing. Cello coming with Metallica, very nice. Cake the Distance, Ancillary. I don't know if. Don't be offended, but I've never heard it. Is it just me, or is that like odd that I haven't heard it?
Could be you.
Probably me. Sorry, Ancillary.
Eddie Vedder.
Take that one.
Looking grumpy. Listen to Eddie.
Very nice. Oh yeah, Queen. Show must go on. Very good.
I mean, it's the only thing you'd be listening to for the rest of your life, so show must go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good. No more people want to volunteer their songs. Oh yeah, Sound of Silence.
But which one?
Well, the original one or the Disturbed one?
Or there's a few other covers, but we'll just say one of those two. Because some of the other covers sound just like Disturbed.
Yeah, original. Because like with Disturbed, when he sings on the Conan show, it sounds better than their song that's recorded. I think. I don't know. It's better.
You're not saying better than the original. You're saying better than the recorded version of the Disturbed version.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. D. One's like a folksy thing, but with kind of dark undertones. The other one is more of a rock metalish kind of feel. Different energy. They are definitely two different, I guess, moods for listening to the song.
In Lord Voldemort, do you see there's a new Harry Potter rap song come out? It's like AI generated. It's super funny.
Oh, the river.
Thanks, Christian.
No, Garth Brooks is good. After he got over that alternate split personality as a pop star thing that he had going on for a while. I don't even remember his names. Somebody black or something like that, or something white. Yeah, that was weird. No, the river's a good song. Audio Slave, good band. Carole King, always a classic, 100%. I don't know if I could listen to it nonstop or like as my only song, but good choice.
Oh yeah, I love Smells Like Teen Spirit. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song. So we got 2 more minutes. Any burning questions before we end for the day?
Oh, yeah, there you go, D. What a weird situation.
When Lambo? Who's gonna get a Lambo?
I,
Everyone in community can get a Lambo. I don't know. I don't know if I can get a Lambo. I would. Maybe I'll drive one day. That'd be fun.
what I tell my son is down at Kroger, they have Hot Wheels cars on the end cap. You just go pick out whatever car you want. $1.
Uh, yeah, Hubbard, I'm sure we can help out. We'll send you some really persuasive arguments why this is a great cause and how it's gonna help the aviation industry, keep people safe, save the environment. A lot of cool things. Yeah. D. Hubbard, I got an even better one. Why don't you get your wife to also track planes? She will love it. Don't knock it until you try it. She's gonna be like, "Oh wow, I love planes." Now you have a hobby together, and it's amazing. And see whose antenna is best.
Can't install more than one
Whoever
antenna
has
in the same location. Hex, just disclaimer there.
Yeah, but you have family and stuff.
She can be
You
offline.
can decide.
Have her station offline and just watch it.
Is there any women? I mean, I know. I think there's a few women in the community. It'd be great. It would be great to get some more into the community, tracking planes. That'd be amazing.
There definitely are females in this hobby and in this project. One of them even writes in a blog and talked about our project. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Yes. Yeah, good point, Grumpy. Like you don't care. You don't worry about me. I don't worry about you.
All right. We should probably close this down.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for joining the stage. It's equally fun every time. And it turned out to be quite a few people here. So really appreciate it. Thanks for all the amazing questions. And like we've said many times, any suggestions, put them in the suggestion channel. And we'll have some cool stuff coming out before soon. And then we'll have another stage in about a couple of weeks.
Yep.
So looking forward to that one as well. It's really fun. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for making the community what it is. It's amazing. Have a good one, everyone. See you, Mike.
Bye.